Hi there. Good morning. It is Laura Roehrick from Street Feet, Forgotten Street Feet, whatever we're calling the channel at the moment. I will give you a quick update on what's happening there. Project Street Feet is on hold because I lost my nonprofit status and I am no longer a 501c3. So what I am in the process of doing to keep up volunteer work and helping the community is I'm signed up to be a volunteer with the Catholic Charities, and they have a step-down unit for homeless people who have been hospitalized and then are still too weak to go back on the street, so they go to a place called the Nightingale Unit, and I will be their foot care person. So when they get somebody in there, they need foot care, they can call me, and then I'll do it as soon as I can. That way I can still help, but it will be in a more timely, efficient way than setting up a huge clinic, and less expensive, by the way, than going and setting up a clinic and have multiple people that you have to be concerned about if you have to cancel the day or something. Those were some of the issues that kind of happened with Project Street Feet. Anyway, what I'm doing today, I'm in my garage laboratory, which is so much fun. I have had so many labs over the last 20 years, and this one is definitely the most efficient, and I'm having the most fun setting it up right now. But I have spent the morning making some foot care products because as much as I love herbalism and I think about it a lot and I read it and I go to classes, I really have been too busy or too forgetful or whatever to really incorporate it into my life and my work until recently. And I am doing that now. I'm especially inspired because my grandchildren are helping me and I want to pass on these skills and knowledge to my grandchildren. But let me get back to what I did this morning. And what prompted me to make these foot care products is I've been asked to do a little presentation at a local organization. It's called the Sonoma County Herbal Association. And Herbal Exchange, Sonoma County Herbal Exchange. It's in Sebastopol, and this is a place, it is just amazing, where the farmers and medicinal plant growers of Sonoma County sell their plants to medicine makers, because I live in a place, I'm just so lucky, where there is just tons of herbal medicine stuff going on. It is the heart of herbal medicine resurgence in the United States, and it all started with Rosemary Gladstar years ago, I think 80s, 70s or something like that in Sebastopol. Anyway, thus I get off track as usual. So let me, so I'm going to be talking about this, I think it's called Salving the Feet of the World, One Woman's Journey into Foot Care and Herbalism, something like that. So I'll be doing a 2-hour talk, and what it has inspired me to do is to really, make some foot care products to show them. And I did used to make my cleansing sprays and foot powders and things years ago, and then I don't know what happened. I stopped making them, and now I have made a whole bunch of them. So I'll share with you some of my recipes and thoughts about it. And the first one I did, is my St. Johnswort oil. And a bit about, because I wildcraft this, and you really, if you're going to wildcraft, you really have to look into that. There's proper ways to do it. It's illegal in a lot of places. It's a whole thing. So if you're going to go out and pick herbs, you have to know if it's legal to do it or get permission, and there's a whole ritual involved with wildcrafting, consisting of things like offering the plants a gift. A lot of people use tobacco, saying a little prayer, only taking 10% of the growth there, and so you have to be very mindful about that. I do wildcraft St. Johnswort because it's abundant in Sonoma County, and it is an invasive weed, and I have one particular area that I go that it's okay to do. I also wildcrafted a little bit of yarrow on the coast, at a place where I had gotten permission 5 years ago in this little private area, but just a small amount for personal use. So I don't go out there and get, 5 million tons and try to sell it or anything. The other plants that I use, I've been growing on my own little tiny suburban plot of land here. So that's been really fun. To use stuff that you actually grow is just there. It doesn't get too much better than that. So I'll start out with, so the St. Johnswort, I make this in the blender with organic olive olive oil, I use a blender method and blend it for at least 5 minutes to get it warm and really infused. And then maybe I'll even let it sit a day or so, or a few hours, and then blend it again. And every time I do it, it's a little bit different. And then I strain it. And you get, I don't know if you can see this, but it is the most beautiful red color. Oh, maybe up there. It's just incredibly gorgeous. So I put a little bit of vitamin E in it to help preserve it, and it's good for the skin and healing as well, in organic olive oil. So that's what one product I made. It is also, I use labels from a Dymo labeler attached to my computer, and I'm not doing this like totally professionally or selling it, so I'm not worried about so much about the labeling. If you do get into this and want to sell, you really have to research and know what you're doing, etc. So I just use this. I give most of my stuff away or just use it myself. And so on the label it says used topically as needed to affected area, used for inflamed skin concerns, minor burns, help soothe and repair damaged skin and scars, sciatic and nerve pain, skin sores associated with acne, and minor wound healing. It's an amazing thing. I use it in a salve combined with yarrow that people with post-back surgery say they have reduced their pain medication. So I just love to make it and give it away, and the fact that it actually works is just kind of a plus, I guess, because it's just so much fun. Okay, so that's one thing. Then I made, this is the little version of it, and I have a larger jar that I poured it from. This is a cleansing foot spray. So I'm going to be using this on people's feet before I do their treatment. I have really not paid that much attention to that recently. So now this is going to be my new ritual. I'll spray it with this, and it has distilled water, witch hazel, alcohol, glycerin, Castile soap. I use Bronner's. I use the Bronner's peppermint, vinegar, which I think is helpful in there, but with the peppermint, it doesn't smell that great, but hey, I'm using it anyway. Who's going to be smelling their feet? It's got to be better than their feet. Okay, vinegar, aloe vera, sweet almond oil, vitamin E, and peppermint essential oil. Apply topically to feet as needed. So that was fun. Then I made an aftercare spray that's a little cloudy. I mean, that it's not bad, but I may put it in another bottle because people may think it's off or something, but it's just the nature of the ingredients. And it is for once I'm done with the treatment, I usually and still will continue to spray microcin, because that is that hydrogen peroxide wound spray from Sonoma Pharmaceuticals that like kills everything. So if I cross-contaminate, and in other words, I say I'm doing gloved hands and I've touched somebody's feet, and then I go and adjust my headlamp, which I do all the time, I touch their feet again. So I do cross-contaminate, it just happens. But with me spraying the microcin after the feet, it makes me feel better, and I think I've, killed everything. And so that's my process. It isn't brain surgery. It isn't total sterile technique, and you do the best that you can. So that's that. But after the microcin, I'm going to put this on it because it's kind of a cooling spray that has distilled water, witch hazel, alcohol, and peppermint essential oil. And that smells better than the cleansing spray because there's no vinegar in it. And lastly, I think I made, this is my favorite. This smells so good. It's a foot powder. It is Lion's Paw antifungal foot powder, and the ingredients in this are arrowroot, baking soda, bentonite clay, and the powders that I'm going to list off are from the 4 herbs that I have right in my front and backyard, which I picked, dehydrated, powdered, and then added to this formula. Oh, in fact, hang on one sec. Okay, here they are. I did these the other day, and oh God, so much fun. This is just so much fun. This one is sage powder, white sage, incredible smell. This is lavender, and we've got yarrow, and we have, of course, calendula. All right, so those are the ingredients in it, aside from the arrowroot, baking soda, bentonite clay, and then those powders that I just listed. And then I put in some tea tree oil, lavender oil, and lemongrass. And that is the one that just, it makes it smell so good. But I will warn you, I've got these little powder containers. They're 3-ounce ones, and it took me like an hour. I had to call the company to figure out how to put the caps on. So if you want to make a foot powder, check your source and make sure it's one that you can put together easily, because it just about drove me crazy. All right, so, and it comes out, this one did work. You open it up and it comes out really nicely. I ground it in my my Vitamix. No, I have a spice grinder, that a commercial spice grinder, which I inadvertently just got at a restaurant supply store, and once we checked out, I realized it was $200, but I went, oh well, it's okay. It's great. It's this incredible commercial size spice grinder. So if you get into powdering things, or you could even make clove powder out of cloves, it's really heavy duty. Okay, the lemongrass. So it's really finely powdered. It comes out really smoothly. It smells great, and you can put it on feet and in the socks and in the shoes. So that was so much fun. So maybe this has inspired you to go out. My word of advice is, like, don't over prepare or overthink. I have found that over the years, all I do is think and prepare and confuse myself. Just experiment, like I would probably do things, as I've mentioned, a little bit differently, but I made these things. I know they've got good ingredients. I'm going to use them, and I will tweak my formulas in the future. So that's it for today. My lab in action. Have a good one, you guys. Bye-bye.